Bay with Good Morning Bay.
Get to know about the traffic on your way and what's news around the world today.
Some wisdom skills along the way.
Oh, and a song to hum along with and sway.
Get your perfect entertaining start to the day.
At 9 a.m. every weekday morning with
Mahima's
Good Morning Bay.
Good morning, Bay. आप सभी लोग हमारी तरफ से एक प्यार भरा नमस्ते,
Namaskar.
वनकम,
Namaskara.
खुशामदीद,
Assalamualaikum.
सत श्री अकाल,
మీకు అందరికీ వందనము.
जय स्वामीनारायण,
जय श्री कृष्ण.
जय जिनेंद्र.
हमारे इस्माइली भाई बंधुओं को बोलते याली मदद.
मौलानी मदद बोलते हैं सारे फीजी मंदिर को बोलेंगे नीसा बुलाबन जान. हम आ गए हैं आपके प्यारे महिमा के द्वारे. मैं सिर्फ फालतू बाबा.
And of course myself Faltu Rani. लेकर आपके लिए एक और ड्राइव टाइम that's going to make it totally exciting and totally मस्तानी बन जाने.
That's right, Banjan. Of course, as you know, customary, सवेरे we have to give you what's happening in the roads, Banjan. तो लीजिएगा पेश है आपके लिए रास्ते का हाल एकदम total सस्ते में.
It's time for the Bandu Traffic Update. Call us from wherever you are at 408-912-2479.
That's right, Banjan. You get a chance to even stump the chumps many a times because we open it up for you guys to give us a call here and share with us what's happening in the roads where you are located. Aaj, of course, Wednesday, Banjan. Today is Wednesday, March 17th. Almost a year ago is when our sheltering place came into effect. So it's like 363 days already. So we're going to complete a whole round of 1 year of us actually going into shelter, Banjan. In like 2 days actually. So you'll when we say that we actually are sheltering, when we actually started counting out all these things, but of course the decree was done on 16th of March, almost exactly a year ago, as of yesterday, when Sarah Kodiji came out of Santa Clara County and said like, oh, we're going to go sheltering in for 3 weeks, which happens to be almost a year right now, Marjan. We are still in the sheltering place kind of a situation itself. So please don't feel that, oh, has anything changed? Yeah, nothing has changed. It's just that we are being given a tier system where purple or red, orange to make us, feel good about the whole thing. And economy also opening up in small bits and pieces, Banjan. Speaking of the economy opening up, it does have an impact on the traffic, Banjan. The volume of traffic on the roads actually are really low right now. I don't know why. Probably because of depression, as in the air, what's happening over there, Banjan, because probably we'll expect some rains today and tomorrow. Probably some clouds on Saturday, Sundays, and all through next week we're going to have sunny days, Banjan. But just coming in Campbell area, there's a report of accident on the 17 northbound at the in San Jose area actually. This actually is seems to be an accident which happened a few minutes ago, and CHP is already seeing clearing it up for people out there, and I don't see an impact on traffic at all. So if you're on the freeway right now, you actually are moving pretty much smooth because there doesn't seem to be any kind of congestion anywhere except some places in San Francisco. Well, वहाँ पे तो freeway नहीं है, everything is like in downtown anyways. So that's something which you can always expect in San Francisco. And of course, definitely not finding parking is something which you always expect in San Francisco. So that was your traffic update as to what's happening on the roads. The weather update also, I told you just now, it's going to be like, cloudy all day today. Chances of rain tomorrow is what they're saying, not today. But I have a very strong feeling it's going to happen today as well. We're going to have some rains and showers today. It's going to be in the upper 50s and lower 50s. But right now, it might seem like as though it's like, cloudy and all. It really is cold outside, but like upper 40, 47, 48 ऐसा आ रहा है. And we will give you more information as we go into this. But लेकिन अभी के लिए, I want to look at our Faltwani and ask her, Faltwani, do we have the news headlines for people of what's happening in America?
Yes, Alto Baba, absolutely. Well, in the news from the United States, Bandajan, and from the Bay Area, here are some headlines from Radio D Hotties on March 17th, right? Today is March 17th?
You're right.
Yes. No early indication of racial motive in Atlanta area spa shootings, authorities say. 2 jurors dismissed in a Floyd murder trial after news of the $27 million settlement. Hopes and fears raised in rural West Virginia by push for $15 minimum wage. And also in local news, Panajan, Bay Area commute traffic is starting to return to pre-pandemic levels. A 59-year-old Asian man suffers head injuries in San Francisco attack, according to the police. San Mateo County is moving to orange tier. Dr. Sarah Cody did a whole detailed interview yesterday with regard to what lies ahead and a year of COVID-19. And South Bay Assemblyman proposes a tax on the ultra-rich. More on all of that coming up shortly.
That's right, Banjan. More on all that coming up shortly for you guys. If at all you missed out any of the headlines, he just now share with you guys. Do not worry about the Banjan. We will have the headlines क्या detail बताएंगे आपको थोड़ी देर में Banjan. But उससे पहले, let's go around beautiful Kani Akida lined up for you guys from a movie which I totally love called Fanne Khan. It's a nice song. It's new artists. Yeah, I think even the singer is new, right? Faldrani, and the song is called Tere Jaisa Tu Hai. And keeping in with the flow of the March, Mahila March, Parajan, a beautiful song telling all the women out there that you are unique the way you are.
पगलाई दुनिया ये लोगों को पढ़ती है अखबारों की ही तरह देखे वो जिस्मों से आगे भी थोड़ा सा बातों के पीछे भी झांके जरा जो है छुपा जो ना पढ़ा कितना कुछ है ऐसा लिखा नजरों में जो आया नहीं दुनिया वालों को ना दिखा तेरे जैसा तू है मेरे जैसी मैं हूँ तेरे जैसा तू है मेरे जैसी मैं हूँ तेरे मेरे जैसा कोई होगा क्यों तेरे जैसा तू है मेरे जैसी मैं हूँ
And of course, Bajra music by Amit Trivedi and lyrics I had to look up. Lyrics I think was it Prasun Joshi? I don't know, but I'll find out for you guys, let you know for sure. Lekin that was the Gani Akira for you guys. Aur Aayega Gana Banja. It's a beautiful song. We're gonna play it a couple of times in the Good Morning Bay. As you know, this is actually a stuck on you song. मतलब ये गाने को आपके ज़हन में चिपकाना हमारा मकसद है. And of course, right now it's time for us to go take a look at the news in detail of what's happening in the US and also around the local area. That's right, Faldrani. How about we go?
The suspect in the fatal shooting of 8 people at day spas in and around Atlanta on Tuesday indicated that he had issues with sexual addiction and the shootings may not have been motivated by racial hatred, a law enforcement official said on Wednesday. Officials said that suspect Robert Aaron Long, 21, appeared to have frequented the spas where the violence occurred or similar ones in that he had headed to Florida afterward, perhaps to carry out further shootings. 6 of the 8 victims were women of Asian descent, Korean women actually, while preliminary investigations appear to suggest that the suspect was not motivated by racial hatred. Officials said that it was still too early to know with certainty. You could get more details right here on Good Morning Bebanajan as and when that investigation unfolds. 2 jurors seated in the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former Minneapolis police officer facing murder charges over his arrest of George Floyd, were dismissed on Wednesday after they said news of a $27 million settlement with Floyd's family meant that they could no longer be impartial. Hennepin County District Judge Peter Cahill had set aside 3 weeks for jury selection beginning last week and was back down to 7 seated jurors after 2 dismissals. Mayor Jacob Frey joined some of Floyd's relatives at a news conference on Friday to announce that the city would pay them $27 million to settle their federal wrongful death lawsuit against the city, one of the largest settlements of its kind. Hopes and fears have been raised in rural West Virginia in a push for the $15 minimum wage. In fact, at the Custard Stand restaurant in Webster Springs, West Virginia, Angie Cowger worries that Democrats' goal of raising the hourly minimum wage to $15 would be the death knell for her business. Roughly half her employees make only about $9 an hour. She cannot imagine raising prices on hot dogs and ice cream enough to cover the $15 minimum wage. And of course, she would expect to lay off most of her workers. She's saying perhaps having customers place orders on a screen rather than with a cashier. And she says that they are not going to be able to support that. But workers, on the other hand, are very excited about the fact that the $15 minimum wage is going to come into place.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a big thing because you can expect the prices to go up because end of the day, what's going to happen is they're going to transfer the the money onto people.
Right,
Now, a
exactly.
donut which is costing around $1 will be costing you around $1.50 or $2. You never know. That's what inflation happens, right?
Oh, I gotta give up on donuts then.
Well, then again, it'll be again problematic because you won't be patronizing the business anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Vanajan, Bay Area traffic levels, commute levels are returning to that of the pre-pandemic era. It is starting to rev back up on the region's busiest roads.
More announcement for me, huh?
Yeah. For the past year, workers who have been fortunate enough to keep their jobs have spent a lot less time in their cars, but there are signs that trend is changing. At the peak of the shutdown, drivers in the Bay Area saw the amount of time spent in their commute cut in half by about 51%, according to INRIX's global traffic scorecard. Since then, the commute has become generally busier, approaching pre-pandemic levels. Bridge traffic, for instance, is at 84.8% of where it was before the pandemic. About 1.6 million drivers passed through the Bay Area 7 bridge tolls the week of March 5th through the 11th, according to the data from the Metropolitan Transportation Commission.
I challenge the data. You know why?
Why?
They actually had removed the toll charges.
Yeah, but now last week, they March 5th through the 11th, they
Started the toll fees.
I think so, because the same week a year ago the number was about 1.9 million and now this year is 1.6 million. So it's really not that bad. In February 2020, about a month before the shutdown, NBC Bay Area featured super commuter Femin Vasquez, who drove 90 miles every morning from his home in Soledad to Campbell, where he works as a hairstylist. Before the pandemic, his commute took 2 hours and 15 minutes, and now Vasquez is making the same drive in just about 90 minutes, apparently. Yeah, so, okay, looks like we still need to continue to work from home, so that next it'll be the environmental thing, right? Reason why we should work from home.
Yes.
Well, let's also tell you about the COVID-19 shutdowns and what Dr. Sarah Cody, the health officer from Santa Clara County, is saying. Just over a year ago, the Bay Area went into lockdown for the first time as the coronavirus continued to spread, and the person who made that decision, that big decision, was Public Health Officer Dr. Sarah Cody. At the time, she said the pandemic posed too many unanswered questions and they were hoping for a 3-week lockdown. You remember it? That's how it began.
Yes.
And then we just went on and on and on. And a year later, she actually sat down to do an interview with NBC News. And, well, what she says is she thinks that we're all going to be wearing masks for at least another year. Many, many more months of that. She says, when asked about 49ers Stadium, do you think fans will be coming back to Levi Stadium? She said she can not really predict how September is going to be, but she thinks that the big unknown right now is how these new variants, and there are new variants, but Jen, that is a concern as to how that is going to pan out. And she's also talking about a whole bunch of other things about vaccine delivery. And Santa Clara County has been one of the counties which has done a phenomenal job in trying to get the vaccines into the arms of people as much as possible. So if you want to read up on that news story, Banjan, it is an NBC news story. We will share that on MediaMahima.com. South Bay Congressman Alex Lee, who is a Democrat, has proposed and join other state legislators and advocates to announce the plan to impose a 1% annual tax on net household wealth of more than $50 million and an additional 0.5% on household wealth of more than $1 billion.
0.5% only?
Yeah, 0.5% and 1%. 2/3 votes from both houses of the legislature would be required to put it on the ballot in 2022. A simple majority of states' voters would then be needed to approve it, according to Lee. I think it makes sense, don't you think, to impose this tax on the super wealthy? Of course it does.
No, what? 0.5%? 0.5%, really? 1%.
Oh, you're saying it should be more?
At least, right?
Okay,
Come
yeah.
on, what is this? Increase should be at least sizable. If you're going to tax them at a rate of 20%, it should be like 10% increase.
The way things are going, Altababa, you remember even the Uber thing, how these big companies actually campaigned and made sure it doesn't go through, that people are not protected, even with the Uber protections. Remember that?
Yeah.
So they'll do the same thing. If you go after the super rich, they're going to campaign against it and lobby for it and make sure that it doesn't pass even.
Yeah, Uber it should not be allowed to vote. No, just kidding. It's fine. Whatever. I'm okay with it. In fact, I would say that at least 2% should have been a good number.
Yeah.
But I think he knows that he's going to be hitting the mark pretty soon, so he doesn't want to do that, I suppose.
Right.
Everybody is looking at their own interests.
Yeah.
What else is there news in our US area?
That was from the United States, Banjan. We have the world news coming up for you with some news from India as well shortly.
All right, Banjan. So we can directly jump into that right now. And yes, if you notice, we all are going stuff. It's a season of allergies, so watch out for that, Banjan. Make sure you are well protected from those things. How do you do that? Well, stay healthy. Definitely make sure you follow the guidelines of wearing a mask in public. We can't just stop telling you this thing. Just now we heard about the snippet, or rather the summary of what Dr. Sarah Cody talked about, and the fact that you have to maintain the physical distancing, because yes, some people are getting vaccinated, and many are not getting vaccinated. It's an opinion they have. They don't want to get vaccinated. We respect that thing, but then again, what happens is that should not be the cause for variants to spread. And yeah, if you're vaccinated, so far the vaccination which we have taken is able to fight the variant. What happens otherwise? What you got to think about, Banjan. Lekin, abhi ke liye we're going to take a quick look at what's happening with the world. Faltwani, can we give us some world news, please?
The decision by more than a dozen European countries to suspend AstraZeneca's COVID-19 shot faced deepening scrutiny on Wednesday, and amid concerns that this step could undermine public confidence and delay efforts to beat the coronavirus pandemic. The role of Germany, and in particular Health Minister Jens Spahn, is in the spotlight after a chaotic round of telephone diplomacy at the start of the week ended with the EU's biggest states agreeing to put AstraZeneca on hold. Spahn says he acted on expert advice after Germany's vaccine watchdog reported on what it described as a statistically significant number of cases of a rare brain blood clot. AstraZeneca says it has found no evidence that the blood clots were caused by the vaccine. The WHO called on countries not to delay life-saving vaccine programs. India, by the way, is standing behind the AstraZeneca vaccine. They're saying that they're not putting a stop on it. Biden says that it is going to be tough to meet the May 1 deadline for the Afghanistan troop pullout. And he says this is the longest war that America has been in, and it is a little difficult to meet the May 1st deadline. His comments to ABC News were his most extensive to date about the deadline set in an accord struck with the Taliban under former President Donald Trump in February of 2020. His interview aired a day before Russia, China, United States, Pakistan, a delegation of top Afghan officials and opposition leaders and Taliban negotiators met in Moscow in an attempt to kickstart deadlocked peace talks. And some U.S. officials and many experts fear that if U.S.-led international forces depart before a peace deal is reached, Afghanistan will plunge into a new civil war, giving Al-Qaeda a new sanctuary. EU envoys. Now, for the first time, the European Union has agreed to blacklist Chinese officials for human rights abuses. Two diplomats said the first sanctions against Beijing since an EU arms embargo in 1989 following the Tiananmen Square crackdown. EU ambassadors approved the travel bans and asset freezes on 4 Chinese individuals and 1 entity whose names will not be made public until formal approval by EU foreign ministers on March 22nd as part of a new and wider rights sanctions list. In news from India, Bandajan, India reports 28,903 new cases, 17,741 recoveries, and 188 deaths in the last 24 hours, as per the Health Ministry's updated data. And also, India recorded the highest single-day spike in COVID cases this year. Maharashtra registered over 23,000 cases. Remember, it was last week we reported, actually on Monday we reported about 15,000. Now it's 23,000 new cases in just one day, Banajan. And what is Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying? Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is saying that it's important for India to focus now on the new variants and bring that under control and make sure that the vaccines are going to address other variants as well, whatever people are getting vaccinated with, or also to look at booster shots for those vaccines to address the issues with regard to the coronavirus variants. Also, let's tell you that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is saying that India needs to take very quick, decisive steps. We have a whole bunch of highlights from the Prime Minister's meeting with the Chief Ministers, and we can share that with you. He did say that the confidence that we've developed from the fact that we've been able to combat this virus should not turn into overconfidence and carelessness, and that we have to solve the problem without creating as much panic. Also, from India Banujan, 70 districts have been named as districts of concern, and most of these districts are in Maharashtra. So this is the worst affected state due to COVID, and it accounts for 13 districts of concern out of these 70 districts. What are the districts? You'll have to go to mediamahima.com to figure out what are the different districts. And Karnataka also happens to have some districts that are mentioned. So does Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, and also Himachal Pradesh. In the farmers' protest, it's still going on. They're going to be observing the Bharat Bandh on March 26th, and they burn copies of the farmers' laws that have come into place. They're saying that they're going to go into a nationwide strike on March 26th, which will mark 4 months of their movement. All shops and other business establishments will need to remain shut for 12 hours following the burning of the copies of the 3 laws under Holika Dahan on March 28th, is what they're saying.
Alright, Bajan, that's all we have for the news for today. And yes, you can catch up all the news we share with you guys today on the news blog, mediamahima.com. We're going to be telling you have a wonderful Wednesday. Just one more day or 2 more days for the weekend, Bajan, and then you can actually have a relaxing weekend. Thoda bahut rain aayega kal, but doesn't matter. If you're going to be stepping out, get an umbrella and go out. And though they're saying that the volume of traffic is increasing on the thing, commute is increasing, it is not so bad as what it was pre-COVID. But there, you want to go for a holiday drive probably. I don't know. Do it on the weekend, do it on the weekday, or do it on the weekday, not on the weekend.
Right.
Because some people can actually take your work in your car. Some people can do that.
Yes. And you can also take your music with you in your car. You can take us with you in your car. Download the Radio D Hotties app on iOS and Android, and you get to listen to us all day long with some great selection of music that we bring your way.
Exactly. But right now, Bajan, it's time for me to sign off with the Gani Akira, which I've played for you guys. And of course, Irshad Kamil ke Bol Hai Banujan, and music by Amit Trivedi. Music, of course, Amit Trivedi, and the voice, Monali Thakur.
The best music with the best entertainment. You know where it keeps getting hotter, and that's Radio